Howdy, Desert Boy here. Hey, I've got something interesting for you today. I know I showed you a short the other day and asked, what do you think this is? And today I'm going to show you and talk about what it is. A lot of times we're looking for a carry gun that's not too heavy, but maybe has a little more power, but maybe we don't want to carry around a 357, or we don't want a 357 that has a lot of recoil because it's so light. We want something that's kind of in between that. I personally like the 45 Colt round a lot, but a lot of 45 Colts guns are oftentimes single action for a good reason, because that seems to be one of the most popular uses of it, like for cowboy action shooting or for hunting. So, and it serves that well. So what did I finally settle on? I was out looking around, and then I saw something, and I had to do some additional research on it because it's been out of production for a little while. But I think I found, for me, what's likely to be my primary carry gun as a revolver. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about this Rossi M720, model 720. As you can see, this is from Interarms, as importer of this. It's from Brazil. This is a Rossi before they got bought up by all the other companies. This is made in about 92 to 98. This has a full covered backstrap rubber grips. It's got a nice underlug on it. Nice red ramp sight with adjustable sights. And just to show that it's unloaded, okay? What do you notice about it? It's only 5 rounds. And the reason why it's only 5 rounds is, as you can see there, this is a 44 special. And there's the other side of it. You can see it's made by Rossi. Very nice looking gun. It's supposed to be right in the neighborhood of about 27.5 ounces. It feels a little heavier than that to me. From what I've been able to research, there was a few variations of this. One of them had a fluted like this. The other one had an unfluted cylinder. And then there was one with a bobbed hammer that was a double action only. Now, I have had this to the range, and there will be some range footage eventually. But I really like it. I mean, that's a pretty substantial looking firearm. If you presented this, it's not going to look quite as small as something like this. Not that this isn't effective, because it is. And these are very concealable. We can show that this 637 is empty, but if we compare them in size, I think you can see, and of course this is going to have 44 specials, a more powerful cartridge than a 38 or 38 plus P. It's going to have it's going to have certain effects on people if you have to present this. Hopefully you never do. It's the goal of most of us, never wanting to have to do that. So, how does this compare, say, in size to something like, and this is my K-frame, K38, right? It has a 4-inch barrel, right? And you can see that in a lot of ways, they're very similar in frame size and so forth. Of course, it has a 4-inch barrel, but just trying to compare them, and they both have adjustable sights. Of course, this one has 6 rounds, so it does have one more round of 38 special. How does that compare with an L frame that happens to be a 3-inch barrel? Well, the L frame is quite a bit bigger. You see the cylinder size, of course, is a 686 plus, right? But you can see that it's quite a bit bigger. And of course, it has heavier weight. If I remember right, it's about 37 ounces or somewhere in there compared to the Rossi. But just trying to show you some comparison of these guns. Not doing a very good job there, but just to show you some size differences and things. So why the 44 Special? Well, it's got more power than a 38 or a 38 plus P, right? The recoil is, the 357 Magnum is more powerful. You can load these up a bit hotter, I guess, if you were, using standard pressure, of course, to get some really good, then depending on the bullet, you could really get some variety of ammo that you could use. That's the other thing. Because of the size of the cartridge, this makes this much more flexible, say maybe for being a woods gun and a urban defense gun, maybe you call it, city gun, personal defense, because you got a bigger bullet, right? I mean, this is a 357 Magnum, okay? And this is a 44 Special, okay? So you can see that, it's a substantially, of course, this is going to have more muzzle velocity and all that. You can get these up to maybe 180 grains for say outdoor use. These here, though, you could maybe put in, probably a 200 grain bullet would work, but you could probably go up to about 240 from my understanding. Of course, it's a little smaller than a 44 Magnum, of course. And if you compare it to the 45 Colt, Colts can be probably pushed a little farther. They can have 255 grain bullets and so forth. Once again, a lot of times trying to find 45 Colts in double action, unless you get a Ruger Red Hawk or something like that. And then, of course, here's a 44 Special compared to a 38 Special, right? Unless you get something like that, they're usually going to be single action, because people use 45 Colt a lot for cowboy action and hunting, as I mentioned earlier. So once again, more power than the 38, 38 plus B. About the same number of rounds, 5 rounds, right? It doesn't have as much recoil as a 357 or 44 Magnum, of course. And you get the double action, single action in this particular design, right? And it's about 8.1 inches long overall. It's got adjustable sights also, instead of, fixed sights, which is pretty common in snub noses. Plus the barrel's longer. It's a 3-inch barrel versus 1.87 or 2 or 2 1/4 or something like that. And from about a 240 grain bullet, I think, or 200 grain bullet, I'd say, think you probably get something in the neighborhood of 340 foot-pounds, depending on what bullet it is and load, at about 850 to 900 feet per second. So it's a decent round, it has just some real nice attributes to it that make it, to me, I think, a really preferable thing. I have a speed loader. You can get speed loaders for it. And I have a speed strip for it that I'm using right now. I'll talk more about the bullets and how they shot at the range. But I've generally found that the 165 grain bullets I shot, I actually got better results with about 180 grains, and I picked up some 200 grain, and it seems like that it gets some increased accuracy. It's a little heavier bullet. I'm thinking for the barrel length and just for the power that comes out of it, it likes having that heavier bullet to keep it kind of stable and keep the groupings a little more tighter. And we'll see how that plays out. I did shoot 165, 180, and some 240 cowboy action loads. The other two were Jacket Hollow Point, and the FTX was the smallest one. So anyway, hope you enjoy that. Tree Desert Boy always says, be safe out there, whatever you're doing. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. The Rossi Model 720 in 44 Special. Bye now.